Chapter 7, review. I will go through some of these sections, do at least one of all the problems that you will need to know how to do. Like on the first set of problems, there you have 6 of those. I'm not going to do all 6 of those up here. I will do a couple of them and go over anything that's not listed there that you will need to know. 7.1, we did operations on functions. The only problems that they have listed there on 10 through 15 are the composite functions. So you will need to know how to add, subtract, multiply, and divide those functions. There's none of those problems right there, but you can still do that. For instance, on number 10, they give you h of x, and I'm going to make that f of x. I like f of g. F of x equals 2x minus 1. And g of x equals 3x plus 4. And again, you need to remember what those symbols are up there at the top. The G with a little open circle. That's talking about composite. We'll get to that, but first, you'll need to know how to do these problems also. F plus G of x. So all that means is that you're adding the two together. So 2x minus 1 plus 3x plus 4. Since you're adding the two, you really don't need those parentheses, but it's a good idea to have them in there anyway. And remember, what always causes problems is we try to FOIL this or something because we don't look at the sign in the middle. Clearly, you're just adding like terms. So we have 2x plus 3x would be 5x. Cross those off if that helps you. And negative 1 plus 4 would be 3. So 5x plus 3 would be the multiple choice answer you should mark if this were your first problem. It is not. F minus g of x. So especially when you're subtracting, parentheses are important. So 2x minus 1 minus 3x plus 4. So we have 2x minus 3x this time, which is negative 1x. And we have negative 1 minus 4, which is, or would be, minus 5. F times g of x. So make sure we distinguish between what you have right here. That's a closed dot. That means multiplication, not composite function. So we're multiplying 2x minus 1 times 3x plus 4. So what will we have to do? FOIL. So we do first times first would give you 6, what? 6x squared. Outside would be plus 8x. Inside minus 3x, and last minus 4, and then all we have to do is combine our like terms. So how many x's do we have? 5x. 8 minus 3 would be plus 5x minus 4. That would be the end of the problem. Realize if you would factor that, because what operation did we just do here? And this is what we got. So if you factor that, you're going to break it back down into these factors. So don't think once you get that, that's something you would factor, you're going to go right back to the original problem. Factoring undoes multiplication. And then the last one, f over g of x, and remember we're just writing one on top of the other there. So 2x minus 1 divided by 3x plus 4. That should be pretty simple. You don't actually have to simplify those. That's the next chapter. And we'll get plenty of that in. So remember those four operations: add, subtract, multiply, divide the functions, and then you will do the composites. They have it written like that. It'll probably be that way on your test because it's the generator, and I'm not going to go back and replace all of that. But remember that this does mean f of g of x. So you are plugging this in there. That's what that means. Just remember that. Plugging one into the other. So which one are we plugging in when we do this? We're plugging g into f. So back up where we originally wrote the functions up here. We are plugging this, the 3x minus, or 3x plus 4, into f. Okay? So 2 times 3x plus 4 was it minus 1? And then we simplify. What do we have to do first? Distribute. 2 times 3x would be 6x plus 8 minus 1. So 6x plus 7 would be your final answer for f of g of x. Questions on that? Plugging one and two together. So that's all that you'll need to know out of section 1. Add, subtract, multiply, and divide, and then do the composite functions like we just did. Which ones were the really long ones?
Like on the homework on that section, we say how we had
like binomial cube.
yeah.
Probably not. But I won't guarantee. Yeah, the problems he was talking about was you might have x plus 3 to the third power. I will go over it just in case there is one on. So remember, this means you have x plus 3 times. So what do we do with the first two? You're going to FOIL the first two here. That's going to give you 3 terms down there. And then you're going to multiply that third binomial into that. So you'll end up with 6 terms at the bottom. And I can go over one of those later. I don't want to right now on the video, but later we can if you need to. Probably won't put that on there, but I may not see it. It may get on there. So. From 7-2, there are 2 problems. 2 types of problems you'll have to do on 7-2. You'll have to find the inverse. That's 1, and determine. If they are inverses. And that's the same 2 types of problems we did when we did that section. So there's 2 things you'll have to know how to do. And I believe I only got 1 here. 17 through 22, that's the problems we will do, and the directions just say find the inverse. So they don't have any determined problems there. I'll do one, and you can go back, or you can determine on those. That's what I'm going to do up here. So our first problem, we have f of x equals 3x minus 4. That is our function. And it says to find the inverse. So what do we have to do first? Anybody remember? Find the inverse. Well, glad the test isn't today. You must first switch the f of x to y. Maybe that will help with step 2. Anything at all? Switch the x into y. So now we have x equals 3y minus 4. And then write right? Because what do we have to do?
Maybe they want it.
We have to get y by itself. But the steps are first to change your f of x to y, and then switch x and y, and solve for y. That's the two steps. That's the important part there. So you're right, add the 4, x plus 4 equals 3y, and then divide by 3. So we basically, what do we switch that y back to then now that it's by itself? F inverse, and I'm going to switch it around like we did. So we have f inverse of x equals x plus 4 over 3. What you have to be careful of, I don't know what format the answers will be in, but they may divide each one of those by 3. So that would be 1/3 x plus 4/3. So just make sure whichever format the answers are in that you know those are the same thing. That's what we're getting ready to do. So now, since we've found the inverse, what I will do is write the original, the function. F of x equals 3x minus 4. That's the function. And then f inverse of x, we just found, equals x plus 4 over 3. So they'll give you two functions, f of x and g of x. So this will be f of x, this will be g of x, and they will just say, determine whether these two are inverses. Anybody remember how to do that? AJ? If it equals x. So if what equals x? Remember that. Composite functions. You have to do both composite functions. So if you know how to do that from section 1, nothing different here. You have to do both composite functions and see if they end up equaling x. So I'm going to change this to g of x because that's what it's going to say on the test. You're going to have two different functions. So first you'll find f of g of x and see if that ends up equaling x. So we're going to plug, just like we did a minute ago, we're going to plug g of x into f. So we have 3. We're replacing x with x plus 4 over 3, and we have minus 4. So what happens to the 3's? They cancel, and you've got x plus 4 minus 4. So 4's canceled. You are left with x. So far, it appears they are inverses, which we know they are because we happen to be the ones that found the inverse. If this does not end up equaling x, do you have to keep going?
Yeah, the other one has to.
You didn't hear my question. If this does not equal x, must you check the other? No, there's no point. Just make certain that you did this right. And then if that would equal 7x, then you know they are not. So then if it does equal, you do definitely have to check the other one. G of f of x. So now we plug f function back into g. So just the opposite of what we just did. Here's the g. And instead of x, we have 3x minus 4 plus 4 all over 3 this time. So we replaced, and I should probably put that in parentheses, we replaced that x with 3x minus 4. So what are we going to have left on the top? Well, the 4's would cancel, right? So you'd be left with what? 3x over 3, which of course would cancel. And you are left with x again. So they are, yes, they are inverses. Seems like on those problems where it says to check that you only have two choices, it's A or B, yes or no. So that should make that easier. You don't even have 4 choices. So that's section 2.